guys, it's Adam from Pixel. I am very excited to have you here today. I'm in a very good mood because I've been really productive artistically lately, and I want to share with you a big epiphany that I had that I feel I didn't even realize was making the job of staying inspired more challenging than it needs to be. Not only when it comes to art, although art is my main source of inspiration and my main source of expression, like you most likely, because it's an art channel, but other things as well, playing chess and training and all these different things that I do on a daily basis that can start to feel discouraging or start to feel like a real chore. Getting the drive to do these things on a daily basis can be a bit of a chore unless you've got your head in the right place. And what I want to talk about today hits right at the heart of that. And I want to credit the YouTuber Enrico Tartarotti. And I just pissed off a lot of Italians with my terrible pronunciation of that probably. His video is called How YouTube is Designed to Make YouTubers Quit. And how his video made me realize something about me and probably you. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the majority of you are affected by this. And I think it's time for us to pull the plug on certain things, or at least to be a lot more mindful on how these things can affect us, because they do. And what this thing is numbers. How numbers manipulate us, how numbers can drive us or kill us. But I think that when it comes to being a creative, when it comes to being somebody who wants to stay in a mode of inspiration and get lost in your bubble, the modern landscape of social media really gets in the way of that, I find. It can really interfere with that in ways that you might not think. Now, what he was talking about, what Enrico was talking about in his video, he starts the video by mentioning a bunch of different YouTubers like Scott Thomas and Linus Tech Tips and all of these other really big YouTubers who've kind of started to either really pull back or disconnect entirely for whatever reason, right? And he goes on at length discussing how YouTube works and how the numbers and algorithms work and how they work against you and how they can kill your inspiration and stuff like that. And it made me realize, it made me focus and actually write in here, in this journal right over here, if I can get it here, this journal, which you can see the awesome stickers by my daughter, Emily. Those are her stickers. There you go. I'll link her to you right there because she's a total badass who deserves love and fame, in my humble opinion. I journaled about this. What things in my life do I care the most about when it comes to performance? And what are the things that make me the most vulnerable or that can trigger me or upset me? The things that impact me emotionally when they're not working the way I want them to. And I would start by that. Note that when you have an emotional reaction to things that go wrong, let's say you're trying to achieve something, you're trying to win something, you're trying to do something, and when you don't, you get particularly triggered. That's actually not a bad sign, because that can be an indication that you're actually really emotionally invested in it. Why do you think people get so flipping mad when they play Dark Souls games? Because the way that game works in all the right ways gets you emotionally invested in it. But again, to shout out the masterful game design of Dark Souls, it keeps you coming back for more. You're watching strategy guides, you're watching playthroughs. I know all the Souls YouTubers, all of them. I've watched all of their playthroughs, all of their tutorials, all their min-max guides, you freaking name it. Why? Well, because for some reason, Souls games have the ability to keep you coming back. You get frustrated, but you keep coming back. There's that fine line. Well, what does Souls games have that other games don't? Well, chess. I get frustrated at chess sometimes, but when I get frustrated playing chess, it's a type of frustration that doesn't keep me coming back and playing another 65 games in a row the way I would with a Souls boss or a Souls game. There's something that pushes me away rather than pulls me in. And I realized there's no numbers in Souls games. It's just feelings and actions. There's no visual gauge of success or failure. It's just challenge, you get your ass kicked, and you get up and you try again and you try again and you try again. And you can call it unfair, you can throw your remote, you can get pissed off, you can stomp your feet on the ground, you can cry and sweat and beg. But you don't leave the game. Unless, of course, you have to go to Best Buy to go buy a new remote because you threw the other one out the window. There's that. But then you get back into it. There's no numbers. There's no visual gauge of loss. Furthermore, when you do lose, you don't lose everything. It's not like, like in Minecraft, if I worked for hours or weeks to accumulate a bunch of stuff and I forgot to turn off the lose everything when you die gauge, I would probably get so pissed off for losing all that progress or losing all that crap in my inventory that I probably wouldn't want to play the game for another 2-3 weeks. So the first thing I do when I play Minecraft is I turn that crap off. I don't want to lose everything when I die. I want to keep everything I've got because it's this, I want to just be able to die and get back into it, die and get back into it. And that I feel is a really good momentum for forward growth. It's a healthy relationship with failure, but you're not being shamed by loss every single time you do. Okay? Now, chess. I'm going to get to art. Relax. I'm getting there. Okay? Because this all ties into the same thing. When it comes to chess, I love playing chess all the time, but I found that when I would play chess sometimes, if I'd lose or if I'd go kind of on a losing streak and I start to get tilted, I would play maybe 2 or 3 games, and if things weren't going to my liking, I would start to get so frustrated to the point where I didn't want to play anymore. There was this ego hurt that really made me feel like I was losing more than I was gaining. And I realized after watching that video, you know what it probably is? It's the fact that I've got my rating and my opponent's rating right there, our ELO, which is the term for chess rating, your ELO. You can see your rating and the rating of the person you played against. And let's say hypothetically, you got yourself up to like I'm making up some crazy, I'll make up like grandmaster numbers. Let's say you have a 2,500 rating ELO. And you go up against somebody who's a 2,700 ELO. If you lose, yeah, okay, you lose. If you lose, you do lose number, your ELO drops. So there's this kind of feeling of having things taken away from you. But what if you lose and then you lose to somebody who's got an ELO, a ranking lower than yours? And then again and again, and then somebody beats you again, and somebody beats you again, and you keep losing and losing because you're on this losing streak and you're getting more and more emotional, and you're just starting to see months and months and months of progress start to take a nosedive. Your ranking goes from 2,500 and now you're down to 2,200. And then God forbid you drop below 2,000. Good Jesus Murphy, right? And you're losing to people who you were destroying weeks ago. Like you were just totally dominating them. And now all of a sudden you're losing to these novices. At least to you, it feels like a novice because 1,900 ain't no novice, that's for sure. But you know what I'm saying? It's this seeing those numbers dwindle that makes you feel like all of that progress is lost. And that, my dear lady or gentleman, is a very unhealthy mindset when it comes to things not going your way, especially if you want to play the long game of building an art career, building a name for yourself on social media, starting a YouTube channel, starting a TikTok channel, etc. Right? It's this feeling like it's all of that work that you've taken years and years to accumulate, or months and months to accumulate, is all being taken away from you. And now you got to start all over from scratch. And it turned me off of the game. That I would find myself playing against players whose ranking was much lower than mine, and I was losing to them consistently because I didn't play for 2-3 weeks and I was out of practice. And I'd go, screw this. I'd close my iPad or whatever and I'd put it aside and I wouldn't play another game for another 3 or 4 days. That's an unhealthy reaction. That's an unproductive response to something that should be A, a game, and B, you want to feel progress. If I keep putting the game down and I don't want to play again, I'm not making progress. You need to have consistent daily practice to get better, especially if you're doing something like art, right? In his particular case, what Enrico's talking about in this video is due to certain, economic factors, societal factors. During COVID, everybody's YouTube channel took off because everybody's just sitting at home and binging on stuff. Maybe there's certain things in the market, certain trends going on that make things go up, and then all of a sudden they plummet. Then all of a sudden the algorithm is saying, unless you're Mr. Beast, you're not going to make a name for yourself. And you're starting to see this numerical divide between the big and the small channels. The big channels, very capitalistic if you think about it that way, the big channels are just multi-billions. And the small channels keep dropping and dropping. That the algorithm is pushing people towards the platforms, towards the creators who bring in the most ad revenue based off of their views. So the algorithm just keeps pumping this, making you think, Jesus, if I want to be a unique creative artist, which is what Enrico talks about, if you want to be creative and unique, the algorithm is telling me absolutely not. You have to do what the algorithm says. I don't give a crap what your personal desires are. All of these AI bots and these algorithms are all saying, this is what people click on, do that. If you're just a content creator and you don't give a crap about the brand of your content, you just want to make sure that you brand yourself in a way that makes you very, very marketable and makes you very appealing and makes you very click-worthy and very shareable, then fine, because being a YouTuber is your job. But if you're somebody like me, if you're somebody like you, who's an artist first, YouTuber second, or I'm an artist and then I'm a teacher, then I'm a YouTuber, then I'm not ready or willing to sell out to the algorithm. My content belongs to me. My vision, my YouTube thumbnails, the tags that I put in my videos, the titles of my videos, the way I speak, the tone of my voice, the subjects that I find particularly important, depending on what it is that I feel I need to share with my audience, good or bad, that's up to me. But the algorithm says nay. So I have to either A, change, or B, adapt and start to mess with the integrity of my voice, my artistic expression, my creativity, my audience, and do what YouTube asks me to for the sake of popularity. And let's say, hypothetically speaking, I said, you know what, Adam, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Adapt yourself, get the likes, get the views, get the audience, yada, yada, yada. And then once things start to pick up, then you can slowly, now that you have a bigger channel, now you can start doing more of your stuff and gently migrate people over to what you want. That's not going to work because YouTube doesn't give a shit what my end goal is. YouTube gives a crap about getting clicks and about getting ad revenue and appealing to the algorithm. And I don't give a shit what all those YouTube gurus say. No, that doesn't work that way. If I decided to build an audience off of a certain premise, off of a certain brand, and then I change my brand, people are going to start losing interest in me. So once you get on the train, baby, there's no getting off unless you want the train to crash. Okay? So how do I deal with this? How have I dealt with my YouTube channel? And how did I deal with chess? Well, I realized, wait a minute, if the ELO is such a deterrent, if it's such a turnoff, then is there a way to turn that off? Turn off that setting? And sure enough, I think there's called like focus mode or something like that. You just go in through the settings on chess.com on the app and you just go focus mode or something like that. You click it off, your ELO is hidden when you're playing the game. And I have never played more and improved more in the last 7-8 years since I got back into playing chess again. I might be inflating those numbers, probably less than that. At least 3 years, at least 3-4 years at this point. I've been playing game after game after game because I don't care who I'm playing against. If somebody scholar mates me, does some cheesy opening mate to me and beats me, I'm not looking at them saying they have a ranking that's 300 points below mine and they got me with that bullshit move. I'm such a effing idiot. No, I just go, wow, you got me again. That's it. That's as butt hurt as I get emotionally. He got me with it. I'm gonna have to learn how to, maybe the scholar's mate ain't so bad after all, type of idea. And if for anybody who doesn't play chess, the scholar's mate's kind of like this cheesy opening that every beginner does that can get you like a checkmate in like 4 moves. Everybody does it at some point. But when the ranking was taken out of the equation, I didn't care. Even though I'm playing a ranked game, I did not care if I won or lost. I didn't feel that defeat was taking anything away from me. It was just another opportunity to learn. See where I'm going with this? Now, with my channel, that's actually never been an issue for me. There was a period when I first started my channel, I'd say the first 3-4 years of my channel, I was dripping subscribers. You know, it was like 1 a day, 2 a day, 3 a day. And then I decided at a certain point, and I'm sure you can go back and find an old YouTube video where I speak about this many, many years ago, where I said, you know what, screw what YouTube wants. And I was saying that back then, screw what YouTube wants. I'm an artist. I can't have anybody telling me how to run my channel. I'm going to do what I want. And I decided to formulate my videos around the energy and the message that I wanted to share. The art that I wanted to share, the message that I wanted to share. Because if you looked prior to that, it was me trying to make thumbnails and subjects that were, you know, teaching people how to do this and teaching people how to do that. And I was trying to make really cool thumbnails to catch people's attention. And nobody gave a crap because art YouTube channels were a dime a dozen. And I thought, no, it's an unsustainable resource for creating content. And I said, no, Adam, you've been doing this for at that point, a decade and a half. And you have this whole life you've lived. You've got so many stories to share. Share your bloody story. People want to hear the story from somebody who's been where they're probably going, or been where they have been, or been where they are, and create this world where people can be themselves and experience the ups and downs of an artistic career and feel a sense of camaraderie, feel a sense of community, and that their struggles don't make them suck and don't make them alone. No, it's your badge of honor. It's your rite of passage. Welcome aboard. Let's do what me and my best friend Jimmy like to say, a bitch and slurp. You know, we'll go and have a coffee and just complain about life for 3 hours straight. It's very cathartic. So that's to me what my channel represented. And the moment I said that, the moment I made that decision, all of a sudden my channel went and it shot up. I went from like 20K subs at that point over a period of several years, at least 4 or 5 years, and I shot up to over 100,000 within a 6-month period. It was just a bang right away. All of a sudden I became discovered because I stopped looking at the numbers, because I stopped caring about the algorithm. And I've maintained that since. I've had periods where my channel shot up and periods where my channel shot down, things that went well and things that went bad. And to me, the gauge of the quality and my involvement and my emotional investment in my channel was always about me and you. My interaction with you, the relationship that I have with you, the trust that we share between each other, protecting that trust, protecting the community, that's all I give a shit about. And as such, whether my growth was fast or slow, I don't care. I really honestly don't care. What I do care about, what does matter to me, are the comments. What does matter to me is with the people that reach out to me personally and share their thoughts and feelings, or tell me how my videos have affected them in a positive way, or get in touch with me because they feel they can trust me to share some constructive criticism and say, you're doing this a little bit too much, or maybe your intention is that. And I can have these very personal back and forths with people. And that to me means that I've succeeded at my goal. Now, I'm turning 50 this year. This November 7th, I was born in November 7th, 1975. So as of November 7th this year, I'm going to hit the big 50. I know you could do it. I don't look a day over 25. I get it. But yes, believe it or not. And, that means I've been around for a long time. My career started long before internet. And by the time YouTube became a part of my life, which is around the same time my school became a part of my life, I had already created a foundation for myself. And my foundation was not based off of numbers. My foundation was based off of the jobs I had. It was based off of the schools that I'd gone to and all of these things, right? And the colleagues I'd made and the successes and failures that I had in very organic ways. There was no numerical gauge of my success. And my son, Lucas, Casserole Arts, you can check it out right over here. Badass 12-year-old artist, best of the best, in my humble opinion. If he started off with 3 and now he's shot up to 90, if he drops back down to 50, will he not want to draw anymore? Will he all of a sudden start to think, shit, I'm not doing things right? My art isn't appealing to people the right way? Shit, I need to start branding myself differently, and I need to start marketing myself differently, and I need to start using these tools and those tools and start to present my art in these ways and those ways? All of a sudden, Instagram has hijacked his creative output. And everybody talks about output when it comes to art, don't they? Well, prior to starting an Instagram page, he did around 10 pages in his sketchbook a day. Him and his best friends would sit down and just sketch all day long. Is he going to continue to want to do that? And furthermore, will he be producing art moving forward to see those numbers go up? I have a very strong feeling, correct me if I'm wrong, if I can be so blunt about it, that you probably are. In fact, we all are. You know, if this video that I'm posting right now gets 10 views on it, that'll sting. But at least that means 10 of you have exceptionally good quality, right? And I stand by that. So you got to ask yourself, what are you doing it for? You know, I had the emotional foundation to be able to not let numbers call the shots for me. Do you? You know, I didn't have the emotional confidence to do that in chess because I'm not a professional chess player, but I am a professional artist. But if I was a professional chess player and I have to look at that damn ELO every single day and see that lower ranked player ruin me publicly, oh God, that's a real kick in the groin, isn't it? Right? What do you do? Well, in my opinion, you should ignore numbers. And if there's a way for you to turn those numbers off, then turn them off, because status can be a real passion killer, because you start producing for status rather than producing for inspiration. And I instead said, no, I'm not Adam who runs a YouTube channel, who runs a school. I'm Adam, the art student. This is who I've always been and what I always love to do. And although I tell this to myself in the back of my head, I made an emotional point of writing this down and saying, no, you're a beginner, and your art ELO does not apply here. It's about growth. It's about learning. It's about looking at yourself objectively and saying, this is good, this is bad, fix this, keep doing that. Rattle the cage over here. Stop getting complacent over there. Be proud of yourself for this, and just reanalyze myself with fresh eyes. I went back. I started to binge on amazing art YouTube content. Tim McBurney and Hardy Fowler and Peter Moorbacher and Tyler Edlin and Kelsey Rodriguez and Istebrak and all of these amazing Sinix and Clint and Diana Cearley's work, and just binging. Just being a total noob again and just binging. I got some amazing books here. Actually, I got these two. If you're a creature designer, really good books. They're all pristine too. I might do a book review of them if I have the time. Check it out. Mythical Beasts. Okay. Now this is I'm coming from a professional creature designer's perspective, not just somebody who's new to it. It might be a bit advanced for newer artists, although it's got some good stuff in here. But this book in particular, An Artist's Field Guide to Designing Fantasy Creatures by 3D Total Publishings. Really good, because it really explores different genres of art, and I find that it really delves deeper into fantasy. So this is a great book for somebody who wants to explore ideation more, the creativity, the more abstract side of it, but while still grounding this in reality, in realism, right? And this one as well, which is a little bit more technical, science of creature design. Fantastic book. Particularly for somebody like me, who is an anatomy fanatic. And what I love what the author does, Terrell Whitlatch, what the author does is breaks down all of these different animal anatomies and then shows you how you can hybrid these anatomies to create creatures, right? You can piggyback off of the anatomy of an armadillo or a bear or a tiger or a cheetah or a bird or an elk or a fish, and demonstrates how you bring these together to bridge that gap between fantasy and reality. How you can take a very broad, generalized understanding of all these different types of anatomy, these different types of species, these different adaptations, and turn them into creatures. Oh my God. So good. Such two amazingly good books, and very good companions too, if you want kind of a well-rounded creature design thing. More animalistic creature design. But yeah, I'm rising from the ashes like a phoenix, born anew. And I want you along for the ride. I want you to be able to enjoy this as well. Turn numbers off. Ignore them. I don't recommend ArtStation. I recommend Pinterest. I want you to fall down your rabbit hole, not the rabbit hole of everybody else who's so fantastic. Do not post your art in hopes that you're going to get tons and tons of views. And if those views drop, or if that interest drops numerically, that has jack shit to do with the quality or the success of your artwork. You want to take the Souls route, the Dark Souls route, where your art kicks your ass over and over again, but all it's doing is just reminding you to work harder, try harder, and use better technique, be more objective. But if you feel like every single time something doesn't work, you feel like you're regressing, then that's very, very demoralizing. And what that does is it takes this feeling of growth away. If you're producing artwork, even if it's crap, even if it's not your best piece of art, every piece of art that you produce, if you put your focus and care into it, if you put thought into it, you're growing. It's filling that sketchbook that should give you a sense of excitement and growth, not whether your numbers are going up or down. Okay? That's all I want to share with you today. It's just a very simple message. Ignore those damn numbers at all costs. Okay? But if they go up, good for you. Right? With that said, if you've made it all the way to the end of this impassioned video, that means you love me and you won't leave me like all the other ones did. So subscribe, for God's sakes, because you could do worse. Am I right? You could do worse. And I'm also going to make another request for you. We're an art community. This channel is not just me. My channel doesn't exist. I'm not alone on an island. I'm a part of a collective of amazing artists. I have updated almost every single one of my 440 videos on my channel to include nothing but me, my deets, my information, my mentorship, all that kind of cool shit. And then if you look below that is a constantly updated list of all of the YouTubers that I love and that I want to promote. Many of them. If you know of any art YouTubers that you completely love and you're very passionate about them, I want you to go down into the description below of this video and I want you to scan through it and see if your beloved artist is not included in my list. And if they are, let me know in the comments below and I'll add them. Please do subscribe because it shows me that my numbers are going up and that gives me a sense of value and purpose in life. But more importantly, to subscribe to all the other ones too, because if you start to fill your feed with a bunch of artists, art YouTubers, the algorithm is going to start pushing more of them at you. And that will only encourage total artistic immersion, which is the most inspiring way to go about your day if you're an artist. Just surround yourself with great artists, great content creators, great lessons, great styles, great inspirations, and that will feed you back as well. So don't just subscribe to me, subscribe to all of them and build a community, okay? Because we all depend on you guys. Isn't that complete hypocrisy that I'm asking for that at the end of a video where I'm telling you to ignore numbers? Ignore everybody else's number, just focus on mine, okay? All right, I'll shut up now. I love you and happy painting. Take care.